Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to bring you part 3 of my series of narcissistic fathers. So this is really about the tools, strategies. Basically, your father's a narcissist. Now what? Now what do you do? Right? So starting with the idea, first of all, are they covert or are they overt, which I covered in my previous videos. And then how far on the spectrum are they? Are they malignant, which is pretty much way at the top? Or are they a little more subtle? Again, this is all abuse. It's just sometimes good to factor in because that will play into how you want to deal with it. Are they alive? Are they in your life at all? Have you already gone no contact? Are they deceased? So again, there's different variables of what those tools and strategies might look like according to what your situation is and where that person is in your life. So we'll start with the father who may be alive and is still in your life. If you have a father like that, first of all, I would say again, as I've mentioned with narcissistic mothers, the gold standard is still no contact. That is the only way that you will keep yourself like as safe as possible emotionally and keep yourself from being triggered and be able to heal in the long run. However, if that is not possible, sometimes there are other factors. Maybe you share a household, maybe the grandchildren, they're very involved with the grandchildren, maybe you're financially dependent on them. So those are sort of other variables that come into play. Then you would need to do a gray rock. So gray rock, as I've mentioned in prior videos, is being as boring as possible. It could be one word answers. It can be yes, no. How are you doing? I'm doing great. How are the kids? The kids are great. How's everything? How's the job? Great. I kind of refer to it as this idea of if you were sitting down to a tea party with people you don't really know very well. It's very polite, very, very surface, very talking about the weather, So it's really, there's no depth. It's just being very surface. How you would be with an acquaintance or maybe someone you just met at a party, and you're just basically being like, not even that far though, really just you're being civil, but you're being very, very just kind of dull, not giving them much. The whole point behind that is no supply. You don't want to give them any supply because narcissists love supply, whether it's good, whether it's bad, they'll take anything. So this isn't just if you must deal with them, this is the way to go. Now, if you are at a point where gray rock is maybe not working, then you would want to do what is called limited contact. So limited contact would be you're still doing your gray rock when you are in contact, but it might have to be some pulling away. So in other words, if you live with this person, you find a different household, don't live with them anymore. And then at that point, you can decide what you want to do. But if you're financially dependent on them for some reason, again, it can be very tricky. I would encourage you to figure out how to unravel that. That could take some time, but in the long run, it's not sustainable. So in the future, or if you have some kind of plan, year-long plan, 3 years, whatever that looks like, it's to become financially independent away from that person. You never want to have to depend on anyone who's abusive financially. Again, sharing a household, it would have to be not doing that anymore. If you are in business with this person, get out of that. So again, I'm not saying these are things you can do immediately. You might have to get legal representation around this. You might have to get more support around this. Again, I strongly advise getting a therapist. Don't do this alone. Find a therapist who is skilled, understands the narcissistic dynamic inside and out, is also trauma-informed, understands abusive patterns and dynamics. And really, that narcissistic piece, though, is key. So make sure that you find someone who has that, who can help you during this. So again, limited contact is kind of that in between. It's if you have to, if you must, then it's going to be hardly ever. Probably you should keep it to text or email if possible. If it has to be phone calls, you keep it extremely short. Boom, 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 gotta go. So again, you could try one. If it's not working, try the other. It might take some experimentation. So the limited contact, again, it's not ideal, but if you have absolutely no choice, that would be strategy two. And then, as I've mentioned before, the gold standard is no contact. So this is somewhere you probably would want to get to with any narcissistic parent if they're still around. Is to really eventually go no contact. Most people do go that route eventually. This is not easy. I'm not saying it's as easy. You're allowed to have feelings around it. You're allowed to feel shame and guilt and all those feelings that come up around this because this is your parent. And it's really difficult, and this is your father, and you're going to get a lot of pushback. They will say, "Oh, but this is your father, and everyone has problems with their fathers, with their parents. You have to suck it up." Blah 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 blah. They don't know what they're talking about. Do not listen to those people. You can nod and smile and go, but that is not the reality, and they don't understand. So I always say, imagine if this was, take your label away. This is not your father. You are not related to this person. This is just some guy, right? It's just some random guy. So if you take that label away, it really does make it, if not easier. The other thing I would say as well is that, again, getting support, getting therapy around this, working through those feelings that are coming up around shame and guilt, because there's so much in our society that really pushes this idea that somehow we're supposed to love our parents no matter what. We're supposed to, just keep trying and trying and trying, and that is just not true. So please don't buy into any of that. It's a society thing. It's a kind of a thing that people pressure you. One thing I always like to say is there's a difference between relatives and family. Relatives are people we happen to be related to. Family are the people that show up for us. Family, we don't have to be related to family. Family can be good friends. Family can be, they're just the people. There are people. They're the people. I love that idea of chosen family because those are the people, related or not, who are there for us. They've got our back and we feel good. We feel good around them. We're not sucking it up. We're not trying to, get through it, and it's excruciating. And again, I'm not saying we're going to be like great friends with every family member. I'm not talking about people that are like, you have your great aunt who, yeah, she can be a bit of annoying, but she's still your aunt and you got to see her sometimes. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about people that are annoying or irritating. I'm talking about abuse. I'm talking about people that are completely abusive and just make you feel like crap. People that just make you feel terrible, drained, bring up all these awful feelings, trigger you, stuff from childhood, all that stuff. And so if you have a father who is making you feel terrible, who is just making it that you just almost doubt your sanity sometimes, that is the person you need to just be away from. And I can tell you this can be done. And the people that have done it, as hard as it is, their lives improve so much. And then you can begin to heal because you really can't heal. You really can't process until you have really go no contact. You can work on tools, you can work on strategies, you can start some of the healing, but to truly heal, to truly process and get through this and get to the other side, you really need a break from this parent, and preferably a permanent break. Now we get to the final one where the parent is deceased. And when the parent's deceased, sometimes it can take, if they're, it's been a long time, there can be a lot of feelings around maybe not being able to acknowledge that that person was a narcissist. So coming to the terms with that, again, strongly advise you to work through with a therapist. You still need to heal, even if they're not in your life, even if they're long gone, or if it was last week. You really need to process. Sometimes it's harder having the death of an abusive parent because we have so many mixed feelings. You have so many there's this feeling of not having closure, particularly if you've already gone no contact with them. There can be so much guilt, so much shame. Oh, maybe I should have talked to them again. Maybe that is all completely natural. So be aware these feelings are completely natural and appropriate to your situation. It's the trauma bond. So, and I cover the trauma bond in another video, which I encourage you to watch as well. In fact, if you have time, I encourage you to watch all my videos because they all kind of interweave with each other. And if you're missing any pieces of the puzzle, they can really help fill in some of that extra stuff and extra details. And I'm going to be making lots more that will also build on what I've already talked about. So that is really the tools and strategies about dealing with a narcissistic father. They're fairly similar to dealing with a narcissistic mother. The only difference is that sometimes, and not that moms can't be malignant, but the malignant narcissistic father, there is no option but to go no contact. They are dangerous. They can even be physically dangerous. This is the person who has no conscience. They have all narcissists struggle with empathy and usually don't have much of it, if not none. But the malignant narcissist is out to harm. That is their only reason to exist, is to wreak havoc and to fill their own coffers, to enrich themselves in some way, whether it's the adulation, whether it's money, whether it's control, power, whatever they're looking for, it is always at the expense of other people in a very extreme way. So the malignant narcissist is the one you really, really need to stay away from. They are they're pretty obvious. However, that being said, the coverts are dangerous as well. They're just more emotionally dangerous. And those are the ones that can bring on the shame and guilt for pushing them out of your life or removing yourself. So just be aware that even though I mentioned the malignant narcissists, they're all dangerous in their own way. And so really the less contact you can have with this type of father, the better. Or to just summarize, if they are no longer in this world, then it is working through in therapy. So the one thing I would stress the most before I finish up is you do not need to go through this alone. Find a great therapist. If you have people to talk to, friends, family, people that are supportive, rally those people around. Find other narcissistic survivors. That can be really beneficial to people. There are all kinds of groups that you can join up with, whether they're peer support, whether they're run by a facilitator. I strongly advise you to also just talk about it. Talking about it really does help, but you also don't want to re-traumatize, so you want to be able to work it through in a therapeutic setting as well. And keep watching my videos as well if those help, because I am giving you all these nuggets, which I hope that you will find helpful in your own journey. So that being said, I'm going to end this video now. I hope you found this helpful. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.